In the beginning there was breath, and breath was life. The ancients believed that within each living being there existed a force, an unseen energy, an essence. They called it the spirit. But then, over centuries, humanity discovered something else, something that burned just like breath, something invisible, intoxicating, seductive, a liquid that could awaken or destroy. They called it alcohol. And strangely, they called it spirit too. But why? Why does the same word describe both the soul of a human and the substance that often destroys it? This is not a mistake of language. This is a mirror. And what it reflects is terrifying. Tonight, you are not just going to learn why alcohol is called spirit. You are going to see the truth behind the mask. A journey through ancient rituals, alchemy, demonic illusions, suppressed truths, and a society addicted to spiritual death. Let's begin. The breath of life. The word spirit comes from the Latin spiritus, meaning breath. To breathe was to be alive. In Hebrew, the word is ruach. In Greek, it's pneuma. In Arabic, it's ruh. Across ancient civilizations, the breath was sacred. When you breathed your last, your spirit left your body. But there was another meaning too. The spirit wasn't just breath, it was presence. The divine flame inside the human shell, the part of you untouched by pain, age, or death. Now ask yourself, what happens when that spirit goes silent? What happens when you smother it with something that mimics it? Enter alcohol. Distillation, the birth of spirits. Long before alcohol became entertainment, it was alchemy. In ancient Mesopotamia, early chemists began experimenting with distillation. They heated fermented liquid, watched its vapor rise, and collected what condensed. It was called the spirit of the liquid. Why? Because it was the most refined, the most powerful, the most invisible part. To ancient minds, this wasn't just chemistry. This was soul extraction. They believed they were pulling out the life force of grapes, barley, herbs, and bottling it. This practice spread through Egypt, Persia, the Islamic world, and medieval Europe. The alchemists named this clear, fiery substance aqua vitae, the water of life. But they also knew this water could burn, this water could seduce, this water could kill. It was both sacred and profane. And so they gave it a name both beautiful and dangerous. Spirit, divine drink or demonic gift? Let's talk about gods. Across history, intoxicating substances have been used in spiritual rituals, but never without caution. In ancient Greece, Dionysus, the god of wine, was worshipped and feared. He represented ecstasy, but also madness. In Norse mythology, warriors drank mead before battle, a sacred drink, but also a test of restraint. In the Vedas of India, the gods drank soma, a mysterious substance said to open spiritual gates. But always, the ancients knew, this gift must be handled with reverence, or it will consume the one who consumes it. So why do we call it spirit? Because at one point in history, people believed it was a doorway, a key to other realms, a substance that stripped the ego and revealed the truth. But here's the catch. Not all truths come from heaven, some come from the shadows. The Islamic world and hidden alchemy. In the Islamic Golden Age, alchemy flourished under scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan. He pioneered distillation and gave the world the word al-kuḥl, originally referring to a fine powder used around the eyes, but later used to describe the essence of substances. That word, al-kuḥl, eventually became alcohol. But here's where it gets darker. Many Islamic scholars saw something dangerous in this purified, clear substance, not just because of its intoxicating effects, but because of what it did to the soul. Intoxication, they said, is the temporary hijacking of the soul by another force. Some Sufi mystics believe that when a man drinks alcohol, he doesn't just lose his clarity, he invites in something else, a force, an external spirit, something not of him, but inside him. The drink is called spirit, because what enters you is not yours. The modern era, spiritual suicide. Now look around you. Bars, clubs, parties, supermarkets. Billboards of smiling faces and perfect lives, all holding a drink. What was once sacred and dangerous is now casual and celebrated. But the reality? Alcohol abuse kills over 3 million people per year. It breaks homes, it feeds depression, it clouds judgment, it drowns dreams, and yet we still call it spirit. But let me ask you this. If a liquid makes you lose yourself, forget your actions, numb your soul, does that sound like your spirit? Or does it sound like something else entirely? The illusion of liberation, people say, I drink to feel free, but that's the lie. You are not free when you drink. You are escaping. You are silencing your soul to silence your suffering. The Stoics warned us of this. Freedom, Epictetus said, is the power to control your desires, to not be enslaved by them. Alcohol feels like freedom, but it's just temporary permission to forget your pain. Real liberation is not forgetting, it's facing. Real courage is not in the bottle, it's in sobriety, because only a clear mind can truly rebel against suffering. The demon in the glass, have you noticed? We call strong liquors spirits, not joy, not clarity, not strength, but spirits, plural. And in some cultures, it is believed that each drink has its own entity, a personality, a voice, a temper. Some indigenous traditions refuse to drink alcohol, not because it's evil, but because it is a gateway to lower realms, to demons, to possession. So next time someone says, I was drunk, I wasn't myself, maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe they were not themselves, because something else was. Spiritual suffocation, what you lose. Every time you drown your pain in alcohol, you suffocate your spirit, you weaken your voice, you silence your will, you bury your purpose. And over time, that purpose dies, that voice dies, that spirit dies, and all that's left is an empty smile, an aching silence, and a need for the next drink. It's not about alcohol anymore. It's about forgetting that you ever had a soul to begin with. Chapter 9, The Awakening. But here's the truth buried under centuries of lies. You don't need a drink to feel alive. You don't need spirits, because you are a spirit, a real one. Not bottled, not distilled, not sold. The real spirit lives in your breath, in your discipline, in your pain, endured with courage, in your love, in your presence, in your stillness. And it doesn't come from the outside. It never did. When spirit meant God before distillation, before wine-stained lips whispered confusion into the world, the word spirit wasn't about pleasure or pain, it was about the divine. To say spirit was to speak of the invisible essence of the gods, not just in humans, but in everything. A river had spirit, a mountain had spirit. Even the wind, cold and wild, was believed to be the breath of some invisible presence. Early animistic religions didn't see the world as dead matter. They saw it as alive, pulsing with spirits both kind and cruel. And for those early humans, losing one's own spirit wasn't a metaphor. It was a fate worse than death, because to lose your spirit was to become soulless. And yet today we consume spirits that steal our own. The spiritual war within every time alcohol touches your lips, a battle begins inside you. Not physical, but metaphysical. There is the part of you that wants to escape, and the part of you that wants to endure. The voice that says, just one more, and the voice that says, wake up. One voice is a whisper, the other, a scream. Alcohol doesn't silence pain. It silences the part of you capable of growing through pain. That's why it's seductive. Not because it offers freedom, but because it offers numbness, a soft prison. And like all soft prisons, you don't realize you're trapped until you've forgotten the way out. The mockery of the sacred. There was a time when only the priest drank the sacred wine, a sip during a holy rite, a ritual moment to symbolically commune with the divine. Now we chug, blackout, stumble, and vomit. We've turned what was once sacred into spectacle. We mock the gods we used to fear, and we drown the spirit we used to protect. What was once sacred has become profane. What was once divine has been reduced to a marketing campaign. Drink responsibly, they say. But who, in the history of intoxication, ever heard that voice while possessed by the liquid? Alchemy turned to addiction. The alchemists sought immortality. They thought perhaps if they could distill the essence of life, they could transcend death itself. They weren't trying to get drunk. They were trying to glimpse God. They called it the elixir of life, the golden essence. But humanity twisted the process. We took the sacred fire meant for transformation and used it for sedation. The philosopher's stone turned into a bottle cap. The temple turned into a nightclub. And the pursuit of inner truth became a craving for numbness. This is not evolution. This is regression. A spiritual devolution sold in six-packs. The mask of modernity. In the modern world, the drink is no longer a sacred potion. It's a costume. We wear it to parties to become confident, to become louder, to become less of ourselves, and more of what we think others want. But masks always slip. The laughter turns hollow. The euphoria decays. The selfies get blurry. And in the quiet of the morning, we see the cracks in the mask and in the soul beneath it. This is why they call it spirit, because it doesn't just alter the mind, it changes the being. You don't just lose control, you lose you. Chapter 15, the possession. Some ancient cultures believed alcohol opens a portal, not to joy, but to something inhuman. In Haiti, Vodou practitioners describe mounting, where a spirit rides a person during ritual. But what if you're being mounted every weekend? By something darker? You don't remember what you said. You don't remember who you hurt. You don't remember who you became. You blame the alcohol. You say, that wasn't me. But if it wasn't you, who was it? Some spirits don't enter with incense. They enter with ice and lime. They wear your smile. They use your hands. They destroy your life in your name. And when they leave, you're the one who pays. Chapter 16, the soul doesn't need a drink. The soul, the true spirit, doesn't need artificial highs. It thrives on depth, on stillness, on love that doesn't need lubrication, on connection that isn't blurred by intoxication. Real connection doesn't come from a drink. It comes from the courage to be seen without one. No mask, no chemical, just presence. You don't need spirits to have a good time. You need a clean spirit to see life for what it truly is. A gift, a battlefield, a chance to rise, not escape. Chapter 17, the return of the real spirit. There's a reason the wisest people in history, the Stoics, the Sufis, the monks, the sages, all chose clarity over intoxication, because the path to peace does not go through the bottle. It goes through the fire of suffering, the cold silence of discipline, the daily work of being awake. You are not here to escape. You are here to face. You are not here to numb. You are here to feel, grow, endure, rise. And you can't do that drunk. So next time someone offers you a spirit, remember, you already are one. And the real ones don't come from bottles. They come from choosing truth, even when it hurts.